Judge My Accent, a place on Reddit where English learners can get their accent judged.
Wow. So who's my next victim?
I'm just kidding. I'm here to help you and judge your accent so that you can improve your accent and speak more like a native English speaker with an American accent. Let's go. All right, so in this episode of Judge My Accent, I'm actually going to be reviewing an accent live. It's not from Reddit. It's actually from a follower of mine on Instagram that asked for a quick little accent review. This person has been living in Canada for 12 years now, and he is a Spanish speaker. So we're going to be listening to his accent, and I'll be giving some advice. So let's take a listen. Make sure my volume's up. There we go.
Hi guys, how you doing today? Douglas here, and I come to practice my spoken English. So if you are learning English as well, I invite you to tag along and practice your listening skills. So today I want to talk briefly about the importance of improving our vocabulary in function of communication. So if you're looking for better fluency and better communicative skills in English, I highly recommend you to go for these three aspects. Number one, phrases. Number two, expressions. And number three, collocations. These three areas will help you speak better English and approach better communicative skills. So you may say, well, Douglas, but what about words in isolation? Because all vocabulary is important and necessary. I agree, 100% agree. But here's my tricky advice for you. Every time you approach a new word, every time you come across new vocabulary, not only look for the meaning itself, but also phrases around that word. Let me set an example. Let's look at the word table. Not only look for the meaning, but also phrases around the word table. For example, on the table or under the table. Thank you, Douglas, for bringing this topic on the table. As you can see, I can approach English communication in a better way when I have more resources at hand. So guys, this is what I got for you today. And if you've made it to this point, I just want to say thank you very much for tagging along. Feel free to post your thoughts and opinions in the comment section. Thank you guys for tagging along. Thank you for catching up with my content. And have a good one. See you next time. Cheers.
All right, so thank you for sharing this video with me, and I'll be giving you just some quick feedback. Quick disclaimer, as always, when I do these Judge My Accent series, this is not necessarily a reflection of what it's like to work with me and what it's like for me to identify your accent, because I'm only listening to this a few times. Whereas when I actually have you as a client, I am constantly evaluating your accent. I'm constantly like listening for patterns, and I get to know your speech as we work together longer. So if there's things that I'm not quite perfect on, that's why. All right. So I'm going to share my screen because I have some resources that I'd like to share with you. So let's do that right here. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share this window here. All right, so I made a little Word document for you. So after I do this, I will actually send this to you. This is a very, very, very helpful prompt. Hope you guys can see it's a prompt that if you need help, with your connected speech, stress, intonation, and English is not your first language, and you would like an American accent, ask ChatGPT this. Really helpful. So I asked ChatGPT, can you compare and contrast the connected speech, stress, and intonation rules between American English and Spanish? Because when we are learning a language, we take habits, whether it be pronunciation habits, ways of, speaking from our native language, and that will influence our accent. So I said, please include word stress, sentence stress, and any unnatural habits that might carry through to English as a Spanish speaker. And then I didn't know if country had anything to do with this in regards to Spanish. So here are, I'm going to provide this link on my Patreon for paid members and free members. And I'll also send this to our friend Douglas. So there's things that as Spanish speakers they may not do, such as linking. So in English, we don't say go on. We tend to have like a little W that appears here. I'm going to see if I can actually get my I'm going to see if I can get my little yes. Oh, there's something not working here. Let's go back up. For some reason, it went all the way down. So in English, we, instead of saying go on, like two separate words, there will be like a little W that shows up between here. So go on. Spanish speakers will rarely do that. I want to also change the size of my little thing. There we go. Going to erase that. So go on with the W in between, a light W. So I'll write it again just because I don't think it did what I wanted to do. I don't know why it's disappearing. Anyways, go on. There's a little thing there. I'm not used to this function. Okay, next. There's different things like elisions as well. So elisions, intrusions, there's different kind of reductions. I heard that he does reductions. So this is just for you in general as a resource. Word stress, right? Some of the differences. I'm not going to go through it here because my pointer is not working as well. Sentence stress, intonation, things that happen. As well as different regional dialects depending on which Spanish you speak. And now we're going to get to the good stuff. So I actually provided the text. I got Word to transcribe it. So if it's not completely transcribed perfectly, please don't judge. It's the Word document that did this. All right. So first things, Douglas, I have some feedback for you. The verdict, the feedback after listening to your accent. Of course, like I mentioned, it would take time to thoroughly review your accent, but here's the main takeaways, things that you might want to look at. The first thing I'm going to talk about are you have some English mistakes that you make. Of course, English speakers make English mistakes, but there are English mistakes that are natural, that are natural sounding because native speakers make it. And there are some English mistakes that do not sound natural. And this is just a question of practicing, getting feedback and correction. So if you have native speakers in your life and you ask them to correct you, they can do that. I also give one-on-one conversation sessions where I give feedback. And as I give feedback, my clients make less and less or fewer mistakes. So some of the mistakes that are in your text, I got ChatGPT to do it because I did not have a lot of time. There's a mistake here. So you said, and I'm here to practice my spoken English. That's the correction. You said, I come here. This is a mistake that a lot of English speakers make. It sounds really unnatural, and people say, I come from, let's say, Chile. I come from Chile. It's I'm from Chile. I think it's just because it's directly translated. Next, here are the mistakes. So I don't think I'm going to go through them all, but just know that there are some mistakes that you make because you said whenever I talk to people, they know that English is not my first language. Mistakes can definitely signal that English is not your first language. Okay, and this is not actually a mistake you made, it's just a Word document. Um, so approach better skills. I'd say develop better skills, right? Um, and that was a mistake from the Word document. So ignore section 6 and ignore section 4. That's just a computer mistake. All right. Um, Again, some of them are transcription mistakes. Now, here's a quick summary of common issues. Incorrect preposition. So we say the idiom is actually to the table rather than on the table. To bring something to the table. Next, in function of communication, we'd say for communication. And then also note, no, I won't mention that here. Grammar structure, recommend you to, we'd say recommend doing. Ignore this. This is not your fault. This is just the transcription's fault. And approach better skills, we'd say develop better skills. I also got a side-by-side comparison so you can compare it later, what was said, what should have been said. And yep. All right. So next part. What's really fun is it will share with you the common mistakes that Spanish speakers make versus American English. So if you want to look over that, you can. But I'm actually going to listen to your word, sorry, your voice message. Sorry, I cannot speak. I think it's the heat wave. I cannot think. We're going to listen to it again, and I'm going to point out some other mistakes that I've heard. I won't listen to everything just because it is pretty long, but let's do it. So I'm going to get it again. I'm going to pause it as we go through it.
Guys, how are you doing today?
Okay. First thing you said, hey guys, I wasn't sure if you were saying how are you doing today or how you doing. I'm going to go to this again. I'm just going to share this. So if you are saying how are you doing, I'll let you repeat after me. So how are you doing today? I'm going to actually put this. How are you doing today? So that's where the stress is. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Feel free to repeat after me. If you said how, because I don't know if you were pronouncing that or not. If you're pronouncing how you doing today, how are you doing today? Sorry, how are you doing today? Today. It's almost like the Y, kind of like the U, because yeah. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? So, how you there we go. How you doing today? Hey, how you doing today? This is more casual. Or, how are you doing today? How are you doing today? I just couldn't really hear what it was. And something I will mention too, if you are going to pronounce how are you doing today? Don't forget that there's a W. So I'm going to try to do this writing thing again. I don't know why it's disappearing. Let me get my Okay, I'm going to try and do it quick. So the W and the A should be together. So it's how are you doing today? How are you doing today? Because the W, the consonant sound, will go into where the vowel starts. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Or it's like how are you doing today? How are you doing today? Or how are you doing today? How are you doing today? Or how you doing today? How you doing today? So I hope you kind of hear the difference. It's almost like how you do, how you doing? How you doing? Or how were, how were, how are you doing today? How were you doing today? How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Or if you're keeping the R, it's going to be war. How war. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? You can hear I kind of exaggerated some of the sounds when I was trying to let you hear the hear the vowels. Sorry if you can hear the background noise. Okay, let's listen to the rest, and yeah, I'll give you some feedback as we go, as well as a little summary at the end.
Here I come to practice my spoken English. So if you are learning English as well, I invite you to tag along and practice your listening skills. So today I want to talk briefly about the importance of improving our vocabulary in function of communication.
Okay, I thought I heard tuck, but maybe not. Like I mentioned, if you're my client, I constantly assess your accent, so be more sure about what I hear.
So if you're looking for better fluency, better communicative skills in English, I highly recommend you to go for these three aspects. Number one, phrases. Number two, expressions. And number three, collocations. These three areas will help you speak better English and approach better communicative skills. So you may say, well, Douglas, but what about words in isolation? Because all vocabulary is important and necessary.
It sounded like the intonation might have been off. I would say necessary. I almost felt like the intonation was, or the intonation, the stress was in the wrong place. But I would say because all vocabulary is important and necessary, necessary. So I'm actually going to stop there, but I'm going to give a quick verdict, a quick review. So, like I mentioned, it would take more time to thoroughly review your accent and be sure about what I hear. But like I mentioned, there are some English mistakes that are obvious. Like we said, approach better skills. We'd say develop better skills. Um, right? It's in the Chat GPT chat as well. Then I've noticed that there are some sounds that you have mastered that you have, yeah, you pronounce perfectly. Like for example, you said there are three areas. You had your tongue between your teeth, three. But then there are times when I hear you say more of a D or a T sound. I think you said it here when you said look for the meaning. There's another time you said that. I don't know where, but I heard the THB mispronounced. So what this means is that you're fully capable of pronouncing that sound, but the habit is not fully formed yet. So what that looks like and how you'd correct it is that I would recommend daily repeating phrases, especially phrases that you mispronounce the TH over and over correctly with the TH to get rid of that bad habit. I say I'm put quotations bad habit if you want an American accent or Canadian accent, so that you no longer pronounce the T and D accidentally, because you're doing that, mispronouncing it, like not as an American accent, because there are habits from your native language that are making you subconsciously pronounce it as a T or a D. So you could fully form that habit by repetition every day. Say those phrases with the TH properly so that that habit, that good TH habit, you know, becomes more dominant and becomes fully formed. So work on that, like for TH example. Next, there's some things with the stress and intonation that's a little bit off. Um, that's something that even when I work with students, this is like this takes a lot of sessions because there's a lot going on here. But I would say if you want to improve your accent, choose one of these things, one or two of these things, and just work on it for the next, I don't know how many weeks, every day, and then come back and get your accent reviewed again to see what's the next thing you should work on to improve your accent. So, TH, work on those English mistakes, get feedback, whether you ask ChatGPT or you have a native speaker that can give you feedback on your mistakes. Or, like I mentioned, I will be starting up my conversation sessions again in September. So if that's something that interests you, let me know. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, it's not super thorough because I'm just doing a quick free review. I'm going to be looking to see if I have any questions or comments. Um, let me stop that share. Let's do this. And I'm going to open up the Q&A section because I am done. I am done reviewing today. No, I